And boom, we are live. Good morning, good morning. Today with Boris, the CEO of Soft2bet. How are you doing today, Boris?
Yeah, good morning, Pierre. Doing pretty fine. Thanks. And thanks for everyone who joined us.
It's an absolute pleasure, Boris. Where are you located at the moment, by the way?
In snowy Sofia, Bulgaria.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I am sitting here with a scarf today in the morning because I'm freezing, being located in Malta, where we only have 15 degrees today.
Yeah, it's kind of minus 10 here or -8 this morning. So yeah, more or less on the same page.
yeah, more or less. Yeah, 10 years in Malta, that's what it does to you, you know. Anyway, Boris, it's really nice to have you here today. You're the CEO, obviously, of Soft2bet, a platform provider and B2C operator. You do a lot of different things. Can you, as a starting point, can you just kind of introduce Soft2bet a little bit to the audience, please?
Well, Soft2bet was a company incepted and started about 4.5 years ago when the first brand went live, and probably a few months before that, it was preparation time by building the platform, the team, and the first branded integrations. Currently, we have about 25 brands live and operating on our platform. Predominantly, most of them are casino brands, but about a third also host a sportsbook and are oriented more to the sportsbook audience. Soft2bet is a company that, as I mentioned, sits on its own platform on quite modern technology. Everything we do is done in-house in terms of technology, customer service, VIP management, affiliate management, marketing, and so on and so forth. And within the last 4.5 years, we've grown from a team of about the company's grown from a team of about 10 to somewhere close to 500 these days.
Jesus.
Yes. I joined the company a bit less than 3 years ago, coming from quite rich online gambling background before that, and I have the honor and the responsibility of being the CEO and taking the company and the business to the next level or next levels.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not just one level. I mean, how do you manage that growth in an organization without outgrowing yourself as an organization from 10 to 500 in just 3 years? I mean, consistent exponential growth.
It is consistent exponential growth. Yeah. Well, I can't say it's not hard. It is. It is very challenging, but actually, challenge is in the core of our organization. In the philosophy of organization is to challenge ourselves and our team every day, and to reach new heights in terms of product development, in terms of the way we build our brands, in terms of our approach to the market or the markets that we operate in general. So challenge is what we feed on. Actually, it's kind of it's a very strong power driver.
Yeah, I mean, Boris, you've been in the industry for a long time as well, and I mean, you've seen the rise and fall of other organizations, and undoubtedly, when I hear this exponential growth in a platform organization, it makes me think about an organization like GIG, for example, a gig, who experienced also exponential growth, and they were on top of the world at some point, and they offered a lot of different services within the iGaming industry, which eventually, I wouldn't say it led to the downfall, because now they are still here, they are still thriving, but they massively reorganized their organization at some point. How do you avoid falling into the pitfalls that some others have, like GIG did at that point?
Well, obviously, we try to. I mean, we're not close to GIG. We're not. We've never been inside the organization or other similar. But we try to learn from their mistakes, or at least what's obvious on the market. And I believe there are two main key areas here that I need to emphasize about Soft2bet. Is in terms of how it's different to the other organizations that you mentioned. First, we're taking an incremental approach. Okay. We did not start with all these services at the same time. We started as a very small in-house built platform with a couple of brands bolted onto it, and then we incrementally started adding more and more. more casino providers, more payment providers, more products in general, sportsbook and lottery and so on and so forth. Building a second version of the platform. Right now, we're in the finishing phases of the third version of the platform. Trying to stay on top of the technology every couple of years. So this is the incremental approach in terms of product building and also in terms of team building that we're trying to follow. So also, of course, the number two is during the process we employ and always on the lookout for top level experts in the areas. So every time we try to go to a new market or new vertical or anything that is very new for our organization, we start by searching someone that can lead us there.
Yeah, it's interesting, and because you obviously are both a B2C and a B2B organization, and on the B2C side, I mean, in a way, you are controlling all the parts of the funnel, so to say, with everything from affiliation to payments, and obviously you have the platform in house and so forth. Like cost-wise, that must be a massive advantage to have in your organization, but at the same time, also brings challenges. I would imagine. Like when you look, like now, the iGaming industry is becoming more and more cost aware. It's becoming more and more difficult for the operators to find to hold their profit margins high, especially in the regulatory in the regulatory point in time that we are now. How important do you see it being that you have these services in house, so to say, for your B2C brands?
Well, it is important, as you mentioned, from two perspectives. I mean, on one hand, it's about controlling the services, and the quality. On the other hand, is about controlling the cost. So we operate within more or less cost-effective locations, such as Eastern Europe, and now growing a Maltese office, and so on and so forth. So we in terms of cost effectiveness and in terms of our background as such, we don't come from the UK or the Nordics where prices are obviously cost of service is obviously a few times higher. Okay.
Yeah.
And we try to stay very much on the pulse of the business on a daily basis. I mean, try to so basically the approach here is to develop a large organization with the approach of a startup and the spirit of a startup. Okay. And you probably have been yourself in a startup before. I've done it a few times. In a startup, you try to control everything. Every process, every cost, every day is a new day. Every day is a challenge at the beginning and a success at the end of the day. So that's the kind of approach and spirit that we're trying to adopt here as well. So we stay on top of the business and the profit margins.
Yeah. No, I can recognize that from my own little bubble here at iGaming Next. We are about 7 people full timers here, and it's very much the mindset. Obviously, is trying to control everything in house as much as possible, and just understanding where we are heading and all the decisions that are being taken and so forth.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you're not a UK-based organization, you're not a Scandinavian-based organization, and obviously in those markets, operators are finding it difficult to find profits right now, and obviously, especially from the UK, a lot of operators are exiting at the moment. Betsson, I think, being kind of the latest one that are exiting most of their brands, not all, but we've seen also Common are exiting UK and so forth. So. Question being, like, is this just a first glimpse of what's to come for the rest of Europe?
I really don't think so, to be honest. And I also believe that there will be a reverse change in the UK probably a few years down the road, because all the changes that happen there, although they're meant for good, I believe they are. One step further than they should be. So obviously the market is. I mean, the iGaming market is a pretty large one, and from that perspective, it's a self-regulating organism. So I actually believe that other regulators and other jurisdictions will learn from the UK example. I wouldn't say that it's a mistake, but learn from the UK example, and probably adapt it in a bit of a more business friendly way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is an interesting discussion in its own right? Because especially since the outbreak, the regulators have been very aggressive in Europe. I mean, we've seen the entire markets closing down even, and obviously restrictions being put on advertisement and deposit limits and so forth.
Yeah.
It seems that the politicians are playing a game where the iGaming industry is an easy target sometimes. It's like Peter Paul Detroit said.
It's a very popular target. Let's put it. It may not be such an easy one, but it's a very popular and populistic sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And so Peter Paul Detroit, he's the head of NOGA, the industry organization in the Netherlands, and he said that gaming has no friends. And sometimes that is what it feels like. And even though the industry is doing a lot of good at the moment for player protection, it's really taking the question of player protection seriously, but it doesn't really there's like a lag in how that reaches out to the general public, perhaps. So my question is still like, why would the regulator be kind to the operators as we go forward?
Why would it be what? Sorry.
Why would the operators be kind? Why would the regulator be kind to the operator going forward? Like when they have put these limits now, why would they remove them, so to say? Sweden being a good example, which is just extended the deposit limits.
Sweden is a good example. However, the fact of we do operate in Sweden for about a year quite successfully with local license. However, what we notice also is that that there's quite a lot of still competition from offshore bookmakers and offshore casinos, and although the regulator is quite limiting and, as you said, not very kind to the regulated operators, they're not really in control of the offshore offering. So I believe that in probably in the next year or so, their effort would rather focus in this direction. Because at the end of the day, from a purely business perspective, we go in there, we apply for a license, we pay for it, we pay quite substantial amount in taxes, we comply with all the regulations in terms of limits and marketing limitations and so on and so forth. And as any business, when you in any industry, when you follow the rules, you actually expect to receive some sort of a protection from the government or the regulator in exchange. And I believe that this is the direction that most of these Western European regulators will be focused in the next few years. Once they set up, the local regulated market. Sweden is quite virgin, actually. It's been there for less than 2 years now. And actually, there was a press release just yesterday that now they'll start focusing and investigating, how exactly non-regulated operators are acting and how they can be limited and so on and so forth. So going back a few sentences back in your question, I don't expect the kindness of the regulators. I expect their fairness. That's all we need. That's all we need. Yeah.
That's a great quote, Boris. I like that, and it makes sense, obviously, from all angles. And it's like you're saying. I mean, it should be quite straightforward for the regulator, and I think that the regulator understands what channelization means and what certain restrictions means, and you can't just put all the restrictions on the licensed operators, because then the players will move to unlicensed operators. That is the balance that the regulator the job is to maintain, right? So they sometimes it feels like that message doesn't reach the politicians always. But I guess as we now go through this period and the regulator are perhaps being a little bit too strict in their measures. Take Sweden now as an example, when the channelization rate is way down. Eventually, they should learn, you would think. Like their mistakes and kind of things that are happening now, it should eventually be mitigated. You would hope so, at least.
Yeah, well, I hope so, and actually expect so. But as we see in society, in other aspects of politics, sometimes the processes there are quite slower.
Yeah.
But in the end, they'll get there.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yeah. In the end, the goodness will prevail. Let's say.
Yes.
Boris, I wanted to kind of move over a little bit to talk a little bit about industry consolidation in general. So, the iGaming industry is a new industry. It's fresh, and I think even though it has matured a lot in the last decade, it's still a young industry that is still shaping in a lot of ways. And I think one sign of maturity in the industry is that we're seeing some major players that are emerging. The GVCs, for example, being one of them, obviously the shining example. And so we are seeing the GVC are obviously taking a mergers and acquisitions quote, which is building this giant, similar to what Flutter is doing as well, for example.
Yeah.
And it's trending towards these kind of giants almost taking over the industry to some extent, or taking over some markets at least. What's your opinion on industry consolidation? Do you think it's good or bad for the industry? And what are your predictions for the future?
I can't really say whether it's good or bad. I just think that it follows the general, the general economy trend in the world towards, globalization and, just building larger and larger organizations and through mergers and acquisitions. So it's a normal trend. All the other, much more mature and bigger industries follow that trend. So there's no surprise to me that the online gaming follows the same. Still, the market, I believe, is still quite fragmented because it's a very, very new industry. So the first giant beast organizations will obviously grab their share, but there's also quite a lot of market share, and the market is also growing exponentially globally on an annual basis. So there's room for mid to small size operators as well.
Okay, because this is another question of mine as well. So on the small and mid-sized operators, it seems to me that launching an operator in 2020, it's a very expensive task, let's say, in comparison to 10 years ago when you did not have to worry too much about regulation, perhaps, and it was easier to penetrate markets and so forth. Like if you're a small operator and you want to go to market now, how do you succeed in this environment without, let's say, a 10 million euro investment? Is it possible?
Well, it depends on, of course it is possible. Yes, I do believe it is possible. However, it very much relies on the on the combination of product experience and people that you have within the startup organization, and then later on, throughout the process. In Soft2bet, we very much rely on our product. I do believe, although it's a on the face of it, it's a gambling product. Of course, it's we produce online casino websites. At the end of the day, we give quite a different experience. That's our unique approach here. We give quite a different experience to the players, and we try to merge somehow gambling with casual gaming. Okay, so the way our websites are being built in the last 2.5 out of these 4 years, in the direction in which we're going is building a product with very, very strong gamification, not so much relying and not making it so much attractive on the core gambling on the side, but rather targeting it toward casual gamers and the generation of people that has actually grown up with video games and all their console games and so on and so forth, and now the mobile. So we do bring we do try to merge in our brands and products the gambling side of it with casual gaming. Actually, our customers these days, they actually use gambling for one single reason, just to reach the next level in the casual games that we offer.
Okay,
through the gamification. So it's just gambling with us is not the end. It's just the means to towards having some fun online.
Yeah, exactly. So when you launch a B2C brand, do you primarily focus on these very, very targeted demographics? So let's say if you launch a game, like you just launched Kazombi, I believe, like with your new brand, right? Like, is it when you launch a brand like Kazombi, how how much do you limit the demographic that you're trying to target, and like what is your thoughts on when you build this brand in general? Like, are you trying to target the masses? Are you trying to target a specific demographic with this brand, for example?
No, I don't think it would be the right approach to try and target a very specific and niche demographic, because at the end of the day, it's going to be quite limited. So we're trying to combine both the casual gaming, as is the case here with let's say Cadabros, which is our latest MGA edition, with and then also have an offering for the people that are there, mostly for the gambling side of it, and that's what they're used to. So we're trying to find the very thin line and walk on the thin line between the combination of gaming as in terms of casual social gaming and gambling.
Okay.
Such. Okay. So we're trying to open the product to a larger audience this way.
Okay. Do you see there being kind of an argument where, on the one hand, you create a gamification experience, which is pulling the players into the environment and kind of keeping them there, and then there is another demographic, perhaps, which just want things to be easy, quick, and simple. Like, I'm sure you have brands which are kind of targeting both of those demographics, but like, how would you describe the two demographics as we stand today? Is it do you think that the general public is more interested in the gamification side of things, or is it trending more towards the speed and comfortability, let's say?
Well, we combine both. I mean, we combine gamification side of things, which is the novice approach in the market, and the cutting edge. And of course, this is all of that is possible thanks to our in-house platform, which does offer us the possibilities to develop such features. And then on the other side, we combine this with, as I said, with the with the core gambling features, the ease of use and so on. So on one hand, for the core audience, for the not the core, but like for the gamblers audience, we still give them the things that they're used to having, like speed of use and ease of navigation and so on and so forth. It's just packaged in a more attractive, visually attractive way. While for the new audience and the casual gaming audience, they can focus more on the gamification side of things.
Cool.
So it's I do believe what we do is quite innovative on the market. So we still don't have the market is yet to show the results of our approach, but so far it's been very kind to us, almost as a regulator.
Almost like, sorry, I like it. I like that. So this leads into a little bit of a similar question, which is something we discussed in a panel a couple of weeks ago, the phenomena of speed versus trust. Okay, so what I mean by that is, if we roll back the tape about 10 years ago, if you remember at that time as well, Boris, people kind of saw a lot more value in trustable brands at that point, as people's fluidity of understanding the internet got better. So at that time, you had a little bit mistrust in a lot of brands, and your behavior on the internet in general. Okay, and as we are now moving into the 2020 and the digital age, it seems that generally people are willing to trust brands that they don't know a lot easier, if that makes sense. And just to give an example of this in another industry would be the phenomena of Revolut in the banking world, for example, where people are very comfortable trusting their money in this fintech company that no one knows anything about, or at least not when they became popular, right? So this is just a clear example of how people prioritize speed over trust, which is like the traditional bank where everything is slow and so forth, but you can trust your money better there, perhaps. First of all, have you noticed this shift as well throughout your years in the iGaming industry? And if so, does this open up the doors now to be more kind of creative with your brands and to focus more on the, like you were saying, the gamification and the fun part rather than building trust? Is that something you can relate to?
Yes, by all means. I mean, once again, it's a very fine line between the two. So you need to balance at all times on it. However, what you notice and mention as a trend, I do agree with it. I mean, people used to it used to take years to build a strong gaming brand back in the days, and now people are more experimental. Not only in the digital world, but just in general, as you mentioned, it's even in the finance world when it comes to about trusting your cash to someone. So we of course we do try to capitalize on that, and however, at the same time, people are now a lot more cautious about where a brand is, where the company is located, where a brand is licensed. Is it fully offshore? Is it more towards the regulated markets? There is this kind of sensitivity out there. We can see it with our brands. We can feel it, and that's why we are taking this turn and shift to more and more towards the regulated markets within Europe, because I believe the audience is becoming more sensitive towards that. At the same time, I would say that it takes, people are more experimental when it comes to online casinos. Okay, because at the end of the day, they do associate, I believe, casino more with having fun. Okay, and they are a bit more choosy and a bit more not skeptical, but in other words, it's harder and it takes longer time to build the trust within a sportsbook brand. Okay.
Yeah.
So online casinos, they're
okay.
Yeah, you understand what I mean.
Yeah, that's quite interesting what you're saying. And what would you say is like, where are the trends going in that regard? So like now we've seen a big shift, in this speed versus trust type question in the last 10 years. If we would put our like prediction hat on now and say where are we in 10 years time when it comes to developing brands, what would be some of your predictions on that?
I believe that the trend would keep its direction and pace. However, the shift there would be more towards regulated markets. So there will be newer and newer brands, especially when it comes to casino, and people would be searching for newer and different gamification, or gamification that's said in other words, like rings a bell to them and makes association with something that they know from their earlier years of games that they've played before, and themes and characters that they're familiar with, and so on and so forth. However, they would become more careful about the regulation of these brands that they're playing with, so they can still have the feeling of safety for their money and balances, and just the responsible gaming.
Okay, cool. And so this leads a little bit to my next question as well. Is when we are talking about future trends, and obviously you as let's say your B2B side of your business now as a service provider and platform provider, I've been thinking about this a bit. That we talked before about the industry, the iGaming industry still being a young industry, and a lot of times the operators, especially the major ones, are trying to hold on to developing technology and certain services in-house. Okay, and I would say 10 years ago or 15 years ago that made a lot of sense for the operators to do, because there weren't that many good providers on the market in general. But as we now move forward, obviously suppliers like yourself are only becoming stronger and more experienced, and you have more and more expertise in-house. Like you're saying, you are a company of 400 or almost 500 employees and so forth. So my question to you then, Boris, is if we look at other industries that are more mature, and let's take like a shining example, like the automobile industry, the car industry, which is an old industry that has just perfected the way they build cars nowadays, right? Like if you buy a Ford, the steering wheel is not made by Ford. You know what I mean? Like it's made by someone who figured out how to make steering wheels more cost efficient. You know, and naturally, as Ford, you want to be cost efficient. So my question is: will we see the same trends in iGaming industry? I mean, if you offer a platform which is superior to what an operator can build in house, even if they are GVC, for example, doesn't it make sense that eventually the operators wouldn't focus on this task, that they are not, in the end of the day, that is not their expertise?
Well, yes and no. I mean, you know, I wouldn't. I think that comparing the iGaming industry to the automobile one, and you know, ourselves to Ford or anyone else, you know, I believe that's still a bit of an exaggeration here.
I'm trying to paint an image.
It will take a while. It will take a while to get to this stage. You know, on the other hand, we see ourselves not so much as a platform provider. You know, we see ourselves as a you know, actually, we don't just do B2B deals. We do strategic partnerships with our clients and partners. Okay, so our approach to B2B here is quite different than the others. You know, we treat, actually, we don't even call them B2B within the company. To us, they're just new brands. Okay, that we do in a partnership. Usually, these you know, that will be people coming from a market or you know, a niche on the market that is unique, and you know, they bring something valuable to the table in terms of traffic or approach to a certain market or geography. But we do build all our B2Bs as our own brands, and you know, this is the big difference between how Soft2bet does it compared to the competition. You know, we don't have a single templated website. You know, we never take a website to repaint it and just give it to someone within a week's time. You know, we start every single brand that we do, whether it's B2B or B2C, it's done on the same ground with the same investment in terms of time, effort, concept, design. You know, as you see, all of our brands have a unique concept, unique gamification, unique idea, and you know, whether we do it for on our own or with a partner, it makes absolutely no difference to us, because we very much insist on the quality of our product, and you know, because that's the best you know, the best testament to our efforts and our skills. Now, going back a bit more to your question about whether providers should you know, should focus on not providers but operators should focus on their core or you know, bring everything in-house. It probably depends on the level of ambitions that they have. You know, if you are an operator as ourselves, you know, it would be quite hard to rely on somebody else's technology. Okay, but if you are, you know, a person or an organization that, you know, has, let's say, a very strong marketing expertise and the marketing skills with, or let's say VIP management skills, or you know, customer management skills, or whatever, and you want to couple it with a strong technology, then there's room for that as well with companies and partners such as Soft2bet. So, you know, that. As they say over the channel, you know, there are many ways to skin a cat.
Yeah, that's many ways to skin a cat. Yeah, that's true. It just seems to me when there's so many suppliers that are popping up left, right, and center who are expertise is some very, very narrow area. For example, I did a podcast with the CEO and founder of Regily. I don't know if you're familiar with Regily, the company.
Yes,
and they have just like niched their way into figuring out how to optimize the registration process, and that's like the only thing that they focus on in the organization. You know, as they are learning about this process and optimizing, there isn't, if they can do that, you know, 10x better than any operator can do it themselves, then it wouldn't be a reason why not everyone would use such a company. And then obviously their success will spawn other organizations that will try to do the same thing and all these things. And
no, from that perspective, I do agree with you, because these are the so-called they're not niche products. I mean, they're you know, what Regily and or other organizations you know, provide is actually quite instrumental. You know, to guys like us as operators or platform providers.
It can make a difference of millions.
It can make a big difference. But these are a lot more you peripheral products, I would say, because Regularly, for example, or Optimals of this world, and providers like that, they can be they can be used within iGaming, they can be used in basically in anything internet. In all online digital services, while the core here is the gaming platform, the core gaming product, and the gamification. And I'm saying here gaming and not gambling, because as I mentioned previously, we are more focused on bridging gambling with and taking it in the direction of casual gaming.
Yeah, exactly, and that is kind of a lot where the trends are heading, it seems like, and it's something that I hear a lot of industry, like major forces are echoing a lot. It is entertainment that is being provided in the end of the day to the customer, and I think if the industry has that mindset in general, a lot of things might fall into place after that. We need to protect our customers and so forth, and being able to put ourselves in the mind of the customer that what we want is to create a fun experience. And in the end of the day, if you end up making a small loss as a customer and you still have fun, I guess that is the final goal, right?
Correct. And then you're speaking to a much bigger audience, and that changes the demographics of and the KPIs of the business tremendously in a different direction.
And what do you think? So gamification, obviously, being one aspect of this that we've seen worked on all the way back from the Casumo days, where kind of one or less the first brand who were successful in gamification in the industry, and now obviously this is a trend that a lot of operators are focusing on. Is there anything more that can be done to kind of to push this ethos forward, to continue to gamify, or to continue to make the industry more entertaining rather than pure gambling?
Well, I think there are different players in the industry. I mean, we are the guys that go in the gamification direction, and we strongly believe in it, and our results are prove that that's the successful approach. Still, there are people there and the operators, and that there's no nothing bad about it, that more rely on the gambling side of things, and they're more focused on in this direction, and targeting a more core gambling audience, hardcore casino and sportsbook players, and so on and so forth. Which, of course, doesn't hurt. That's actually where the industry starts with, and it will still go in this. A part of it will go in the same direction for many years to come. However, I do believe in gamification. I do believe in lifting more and more the entertainment element of things on the surface, towards the surface, and making it the most key element in our offering.
Then, like if we look like wider than that, like for example, in gaming, as in computer gaming, the social aspect is very important. For example, that you play against each other or and so forth. Does that have a place in gaming?
Yeah, it does.
Because that we haven't seen that much in general, right?
You will see it. I can't say whether it's going to be Q2 or Q3 next year.
Okay.
But you will see it. Yeah, follow the next releases from Soft2bet.
The Facebook of gaming, in other words, is coming.
We'll see. We'll see if it gets that big. But
exactly.
Yeah, we'll lay the foundations.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but it's an aspect that hasn't been talked that much about. I've seen that Evolution Gaming are trying a little bit. They have the chat active when you play when you play their games and so forth, and that can be fun. You win together and all these things. But there is that side of the industry that hasn't been explored that much, I would say. When you kind of play against each other or play together or celebrate wins together.
I believe that people's perception need to first change a little bit, to perceive our offering and our services not so much as core gambling, but more as gaming and as fun and entertainment. And then that's the logical evolution of things. Bringing in the social element and let's play together and have fun together.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree.
And
It will be very
in these
interesting.
times when the whole world is locked, for an indefinite amount of time,
Yeah.
that actually becomes more and more appealing, because that's one of the fewer ways for people to have fun together.
Yeah, exactly, and we need to find new ways to hang out together and to experience things together, and this is just pushing. This pandemic is just pushing society quicker into the digital age, and I hear a lot of voices that they kind of want to go back to the way it used to be. We can't build remote organizations, for example, because we need the personal interaction and so forth. And I don't want to push the envelope too much, but I'm wondering if the next generation that will pop up will see this social, like how to socialize with your friends much more naturally over the computer. As in, like, the older generation, we are very much grown up and we are very much used to being face to face. That's all we know. But that doesn't mean that the next generation will do the same. That's what I'm wondering.
Well, we're shifting here towards a lot more sociological side of things. Well, I can't really vouch to my expertise, and I don't know.
We work in a digital company. I mean, this is what we want to spur on in a sense, right? Is to make it easier and to alleviate people to then hang out digitally or entertain themselves digitally together.
Well, yes, in a way that would probably be profitable for businesses such as ours, and take us to the next level. On the other hand, still humanity needs to stay social. I mean, physically social. So let's not go there that quickly.
I know, and I like I said, I don't want to go too far here, but I think it's just an interesting thing to think about, because it's easy to get stuck in your bubble of thinking sometimes, without realizing that the world is changing in a lot of ways, and and it's just something to be aware of, I think, in general, as we move through this pandemic. Boris, one last question, because we are over time already. It feels like it's been like 5 minutes, but it's insane.
Okay. Yeah, indeed.
So I wanted to just ask you, as a last question today, do you see any paradigm shifts in gaming anytime soon? And I would just want to bring up an example again, like a paradigm shift that happened 10 years ago was the clear shift from the computer to mobile, for example. And while we were in this shift, it didn't feel... It was so obvious afterwards, but the shift happened quite late, actually. So I'm wondering, is there any paradigm shift that is kind of staring us in the face right now?
Well, yeah,
it's a big question. I know.
You're making me look into my crystal ball.
Exactly. Like Jesper Svensson said, the only people who think that they can predict the future are the stock analysts.
Well, probably the only industry I can really speak of is the online gambling here. The one that I have my experience and my business in.
Yes.
So risking to repeat myself once again, I believe that the paradigm shift would be from the perception of our business and our industry, and the shift from gambling into gaming, into social gaming, into using platforms and websites such as ours for social hangouts and for having fun. Being able to hook up with friends and play together and have fun together. Of course, the gambling element will still be there. It just gives another thrill. It puts a bit more emotions into things. And at the end of the day, it is used as the means, as the vehicle towards achieving different, getting to different achievements in the game, in the social game that you're playing. On the brands.
I love that you say this, Boris, because to me this is outside of the box thinking. So I think a lot about the future in general, and what's to come, and things like that. It's just an interesting thing for me. When we talk about paradigm shifts, it's easy to compare the future paradigm shift to what has happened in the past. So I mentioned the shift from computer to mobile. And it was such a clear paradigm shift in the industry, So when you then start thinking, okay, what's the next paradigm shift? Then people immediately think that it has to be a new technology. Okay, so if you remember a couple of years ago, there was the VR trend that popped up at the conference, especially at the conferences. You went to ICE and everyone had a fucking the Oculus Rift, and this was now it was going to be like virtual casinos and all of this, because it felt like this is the new paradigm shift, the VR doesn't, but obviously so far it has been just a novelty. It hasn't really come anything to fruition from that technology yet. Okay, but I love what you were mentioning, because you are not your first reaction is not to think about what is the next piece of technology that will change the industry. Now we are talking about a shift in how we offer the products, going from a paradigm shift from a gambling mindset to an entertainment mindset or gaming mindset, and that is something that seems, when you say it, it seems quite obvious, but not many people think about it.
It's rather the way I see it, and the future will prove me right or wrong. But the way I see it is that the next paradigm shift will be in the in the perception of things, and not so much down to a new technology.
I like it. It's inspiring for me to hear, because it gave me a new perspective on this too. So I like it. Boris, thank you so much for coming on today. Yeah, this has been fantastic today, actually, and thanks for sharing your knowledge and experience. And so, final question: where do you see Soft2bet now in the next couple of years?
You mentioned the big giants.
Yeah.
So we'll be one of them. That's the way we're headed, and that's the way I see it.
That's a great way to end the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, Pierre, and thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and I will see you soon, I'm sure.
If we have anyone left at the podcast watching, thanks for the patience, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone, and thanks to the sponsor as well, Pragmatic Solutions. And I wish you all a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.